Hello there. Welcome to the basement. In lieu of the fact that Amazon and MGM have officially announced that they are moving forward with the Stargate franchise, I have decided to finally do another Stargate video. This one will be featuring the team from the television show Stargate SG1. Obviously, the team will be SG1. So, let us journey into the world of Stargate and meet the team that is most famous from the franchise. This is Colonel Jack O'Neill on the TV show played by Richard Dean Anderson of MacGyver fame. In the original 1994 movie, co-written and directed by Roland Emmerich, Colonel Jack O'Neill was played by Kurt Russell. Now, in the movie, he had a fairly tragic backstory, which does continue on into the TV show. He's a colonel in the Air Force, and he's semi-retired from the Air Force on a leave because his son got a hold of his service pistol and accidentally killed himself with it. So at the beginning of the movie, Kurt Russell is obviously going through some things. So when the Air Force shows up and offers him what appears to be, at least to him, a suicide mission through this weird, unknown pseudo-technology thingamabobber in his mind to another planet, he jumped at the chance, of course. So the movie goes on. He goes. Daniel Jackson, the guy who figured out how to open the Stargate in the movie, played by James Spader, went along with a military squad. They ended up on a planet called Abydos, and TLDR, as the movie goes on, they end up overthrowing the alien overlord who comes to visit, a being calling itself Ra. What we find out just in the movies, these aliens inhabit human bodies, and through a bunch of technology and just their own natural longevity, live for thousands upon thousands of years. Of course, Kurt Russell and team managed to end the rule of Ra by exploding a nuclear weapon literally in his face. So that was the end of Ra, and pretty much the end of the movie, except for the fact that Daniel Jackson stayed behind because he ended up hooking up with one of the female inhabitants of said planet. Now, as we quickly move on to the TV show, now that you know his general backstory, Richard Dean Anderson obviously takes over, and the Air Force ends up summoning him back out of retirement yet again because in the facility where they were storing the Stargate, somehow out of nowhere the thing activates and some beings come out, do some killing, and kidnap one of the people that was guarding what they thought was something that would never be operated again, the Stargate. So they bring him back in. Eventually they end up opening the gate to Abydos, where Daniel Jackson was left behind, and they get him back onto Earth to consult, since, besides Colonel O'Neill, he's the foremost expert on what happens, especially since he's been living in the culture now. So they end up forming a team with him and Lieutenant Samantha Carter and an alien being called Tilk, who we will meet next. Actually, we're going to go with Daniel Jackson next, as he's the second most important member of the team. This is Daniel Jackson, in the movie played by James Spader, in the TV show played by Michael Shanks. Now, his story, like I said, begins in the movie. He's an archaeologist who put forth the theory that the pyramids were actually landing pads for alien vessels. Once he was brought in on the Stargate project and got it to work, they were obviously proved right. Again, everything that happened with Colonel O'Neill in the movie happened with him too. So he ended up staying on Abydos with, I believe, the tribe leader's daughter. Her name was Shaoray. And then, of course, in the TV show, they got him to come back to Earth because, again, of a Goa'uld incursion. And so he became the second member of the team, even though Colonel O'Neill still doesn't like scientists very much. And that brings us to the next member of our team, who, like the fourth member, is unique to the TV show. This is Lieutenant Samantha Carter, played by Amanda Tapping. Like I said, she is original to the show. She was brought on um, because she is basically a genius astrophysicist. Of course, O'Neill objected, and I quote, "Not another scientist!" But then again, right after that, she proceeded to put him in his place by letting him know that she's also a pilot who's set some records. So he kind of shut up after that just a bit. Like I said, she is a genius in astrophysics and a few other things, and gets them out of more than one um, tight situation by following a combination of her intellect and her gut. So she obviously is a very integral part of the team, and over time, her and Colonel O'Neill develop feelings for each other, which of course is a no-no when you're in the service. Um, but that being said, as the show goes on, she gets a couple promotions, and at the end of the series, I believe, she is a colonel by that point. So she got 2 promotions over the course of the show. And finally, the 4th member of the team. This is Tilk. His race is known as Jaffa. The Jaffa were created to be the warriors and also slaves of the Goa'uld. Each Jaffa has a pouch in its stomach where it carries infant Goa'uld until they are ready to be implanted in a host. So, while that seems like kind of a bummer, while they are carrying the Goa'uld infant, they are given basically immunity to just about every sickness in the galaxy, as well as longevity. They will live for a couple 300 years as long as they keep infant Goa'uld in their system inside that pouch. Because once they lose that infant Goa'uld, basically their immune system goes with it, so they become victims of just about any bug and can be killed by just about any disease because of the losing of the Goa'uld infant, known as a Primta. Now Teal'c, as you can see, he's got this gold thing on his head. That is because he was known as the first prime of the Goa'uld he was serving at the time of the beginning of the show, known as Apophis. Quick TLDR, once they reactivated the gate in the first episode of SG1, they ended up on Teal'c's homeworld. They ended up being captured, of course, and then somehow managed to convince Teal'c that they were the people that would be able to help him free his people, so he helped them escape, and then the show moved on. So, one more time, the eponymous team of the TV show, Stargate SG1. Colonel Jack O'Neill. Archaeologist Daniel Jackson. Lieutenant, well, beginning as Lieutenant, ending as Colonel, Samantha Carter. And Teal'c, he needs no title. So there you have it, folks. The team known as SG1 that lasted on TV for 10 seasons and spawned 2 spin-off TV shows, which we have yet to get into because we're still working on this one. So, there we go. The team SG1. At some point in time, we will get into the people that stayed on the Earth side at Stargate Command, and of course, we have already gone over the Goa'uld themselves, who are the big bads for a majority of the television run of SG1. However, there were people here on Earth that were regular pains in the ass too, and we'll be covering them as well in a future video. But for now, again, the OG team SG1, I present to you. Please go ahead and, again, tap that thumbs up if you were entertained, which I hope you were. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe and let me know your comments down below. What do you think? What do you think of SG1? Do you find the concept of Stargate cool? Have you watched the show? Are you already into Stargate? If you are you excited that Amazon/MGM are finally bringing it back, or are you a little worried about what they might do to it? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments. And like I always say, there's always a good time to be had when you're chilling in the basement.